Pirkei Mishna Daled. Asora nisim nasu al Aviseinu v'Mitzrayim v'asora al Hayam. Asora nisyenes nisu Aviseinu es hamakam baruch hu bal midbar shenemar v'yanasu oisi zeh eser pa'amim v'lo yishomu b'koili. There were 10 great miracles that were performed for Bnei Yisrael in Mitzrayim, and there were 10 great miracles that were performed for Bnei Yisrael by Yam Suf. Question arises, why does the Tana split it into two components? Why not simply there were 20 great miracles that were performed by Bnei Yisrael in Mitzrayim and by Yam Suf? But there seems to be that there's two distinct segments. There's two components. There were the Nisim, 10 that were in Mitzrayim, and there were 10 that are in Yam Suf. The Maharal explains that the number 10, when we have a number of 10, the number of 10 indicates shleimus. It's complete. It's an inyan of shleimus, that it is complete. There's 10 spheres. See, a number of completion. There were 10 miracles in Mitzrayim. The type of miracles that were performed in Mitzrayim were b'shleimus. The Rebbeinu Shalom manifested His greatness, His godless, His dominion over the Bria in Mitzrayim in the manner of the Nisim Mitzrayim in the complete way. There was nothing lacking. And so too on Yam Suf, the distinct type of miracles that were performed by Yam Suf were b'shleimus. They were complete. They were not missing or lacking in any way. Perhaps we can add a further explanation. There were 10 miracles in Mitzrayim. That was one category of miracle. That was one category. Those were miracles that were performed for Bnei Yisrael when they were in Mitzrayim, when they were in their infancy, when they were avodim, when they were slaves, when they didn't have the capability of doing on their own, of performing on their own. They were avodim in Mitzrayim. They cried out to Hashem. V'yanchu b'nei Yisrael v'yizaku. They cried out to Hashem, please save us. The Rebbeinu Shalom took care of everything else. It wasn't anymore dependent on their maisim, their schuyos. The Rebbeinu Shalom, after a certain point, and they cried out to Hashem, v'yizaku, the Rebbeinu Shalom took care of everything. That is what is known in the Sforim as Isarusa de Le'elo. The Hashkafa comes from the Shamayim. The Rebbeinu Shalom showers down this Hashkafa and draws us close to Him. It comes from above. The Isarusa de Le'elo. That comes when we are helpless, when we cannot do for ourselves. We cry out to Hashem, and He showers us with love, with nisim, with siyata d'shmaya, and He draws us up to Him, close to Him. Those were the category of miracles of nisim that were in Mitzrayim. Sarusa Leila. We were incapable of anything more. We were avodim in Mitzrayim. We were lowly slaves in Mitzrayim. But then we left Mitzrayim. We left with Hallel. We left with the demonstration of all of the Nisim in Mitzrayim. We left with all the makkahs that the Mitzrayim had. We left with the mitzvah of the Korban Pesach. Now we were on our feet. Now we had Amunah in the Rebbeinu Shalom. We saw these miracles. We started to perform Ma'aseh mitzvahs. We saw the downfall of Mitzrayim, at least to a large extent. Now is a different category of miracle. Now those are the miracles, the category of miracles that are on Yam Suf, which now requires something from us. These were the category of miracles that were Isarusa de Latata. That come, nisim that come, niflois that come but come as a result of what we do. And the onus is on us. It's our achrayus. It's our responsibility. And with that, we can understand the famous question when Bnei Yisrael were at Yamsuf and they cried out to Hashem, Ma titzak alai. Rabbi Shalom says to Moshe Rabbeinu, why are they crying? Dabral Bnei Yisrael vayisau, let them go. And of course, the question that the Meforshim ask, what do you mean? It's an Eisora. The Mitzrim are rushing towards them. They're in front of the Yamsuf. Isn't it a time for tefillah? What does that mean? Ma titzak alai, Dabral Bnei Yisrael vayisau. Explains the Nefesh HaChaim. At this juncture, at this point, they had to demonstrate their bitachon in the Ribbono Shel Olam. Now they had to show, they had to demonstrate with their ma'asim. Till now, the Ribbono Shel Olam showered them with nisim that showed His greatness, enabled them to have emunah on the Ribbono Shel Olam. But now, the onus is on Bnei Yisrael, it's on us. After that kufa, the category of nisim that were in Mitzrayim, Yisarus Le'elo, now it's our responsibility. Vayiso, let them demonstrate with their actions, let them demonstrate their belief, let them demonstrate their emunah with their actions, with their maisim, jump into Yamsuf. And that will bring about the miracle, and that will bring about the Hashbam in Shamayim, the Siyata Shamayim, the Nisim. There were 10 Nisim on Yamsuf. There were 10 Nisim in Mitzrayim, Yisarus Le'elo. There were 10 Nisim al Yamsuf, Yisarus L'Tata, and that's a fundamental lesson that we learn. There are times when we are incapable. We cry out to Hashem. We have no ability. We don't have the ability. We don't have the capability of doing for ourselves. We cry out to Hashem. Hashem showers us with nisim, with siyata d'shmaya, with Yeshua's refuahs. But there are times, and particularly in the times after Kadosh Baruch Hu bestows upon us this great siyata d'shmaya and bracha and hatzlacha, now it's our responsibility. And now we are, so to speak, indebted. And now the onus comes on us to demonstrate with our actions, with our maisim, our emunah in the Ribbono Shel Olam, our bitachon in the Ribbono Shel Olam, to jump, so to speak, into the Yamsuf. Throughout the ages, and every person in his life, sometimes he has to take that leap of faith to jump into the land. Then there will be these great nisim that come as a result of that, that trigger these great nisim, that come as a result of our demonstration of emunah b'tochen. I'm reminded of an incident when I was a young boy. I was going with my father to shul on Leil Shabbos, and standing outside the shul was an elderly gentleman with a young boy who was his grandson. And as we approached the shul, he said to his grandson, and he pointed to my father and he said, "Shake this man's hand. Shake this man's hand. He's lucky. Maybe the luck will rub off on you." And I was very bewildered by this whole incident. And my father said, no, I'm not lucky. And the man insisted. He persisted, and he said, no, to his grandson, he said, "Shake his hand. He's a lucky man. Maybe it will rub off on you." And afterwards, on the way home from shul, I asked my father, what was this all about? What was this story? He said, "I'll tell you. In the early days, my father, my parents, my in-laws, were Holocaust survivors. And they came to Canada, they came to Toronto, they came with nothing, penniless, with shattered lives, shattered and memories. And they came as broken immigrants, and they started to rebuild their lives. And after a while, my parents moved to a suburban location where the housing was more affordable, and of course they needed a shul. So there were several members of the community, the people that lived in that area. There were several who were immigrants, who we used to call the greeners, and there were a good portion who were those who did not have to live through those horrors, that lived in peace and tranquility during the war years in Toronto. So they formed a minyan, and in the beginning they davened in a basement, and the time came where they outgrew the basement, they needed a shul. So they called a meeting together, and they decided that something has to be done over here. So my father took the initiative. This is somebody who was just starting to rebuild his life and just starting to make a living. But he took the initiative and he said, we have to build a shul. So where are we going to get the money to build a shul? So we said, we'll approach the bank. We'll take 10 of us. Each one of us will personally sign on the loan. Each of us will guarantee the loan. We'll borrow the money. And during the course of time, we'll go raise money, contribute, etc., and we'll be able to pay off the loan and build a shul. So this gentleman was part of that committee and at that meeting. He's a person who lived in tranquility during the war years, and this person who lived prudently, saved his money, put it in the bank, and did everything he could to ensure a peaceful, tranquil life, secure, safe, money in the bank, and security. And he looked at my father and he said, what? We're going to sign personally and guarantee a loan and put ourselves at risk? And my father and sister said, yeah, we'll sign on the loan and we'll raise the money over the course of time. He looked at my father and he said, mister, you're crazy. We're going to guarantee a loan and put ourselves at risk? But my father persisted, and Kachava, they borrowed the money. They found a group of people to co-sign, guarantee the loan. They built a beautiful shul. And this gentleman attributes it to luck, because b'derech hateva this could not happen. But my father, in spite of suffering the Gehenna of the Holocaust, was saved. With Nisan, was saved. There was a Sarusa de La'elo. And now came time for Sarusa Latata to jump into the Yam Suf, to take that great leap of faith, which he did. He felt that debt, that he was saved, my mother, Hashem, was saved, they were saved, when so many perished. They felt that debt. They felt indebted. They took the leap of faith, and there was Gevaldige Siyata Dishmaya, and there was a Nisam of Yam Suf. After we witness the great Nisam that Rabbi Shalom does for us, for Klal Yisrael, each one on his own level, personally, the Bracha, the Hatzlacha, the Siyata Dishmaya, there's that debt. The onus comes on us, this Arusa Dilatata, that we have to take the leap of faith, and when we do, then we will have further Nisan, further Bracha v'Hatzlacha, further Siyata Shmaya that comes from the Rabbi Shalom as a result of our Emunah and Bitoch.